There's this really naive push for American isolationism right now, and it seems to be cyclical. We saw this before World War II, and then we had a generation realize that that was a failed policy, trying to isolate the United States despite the fact that we are oceans away from potential conflict just doesn't work. Ronald Reagan saw it, and he addressed it in a speech on D-Day saying that isolationism never worked and it never will work. And what we're seeing is just an ignorance to history, because one of the greatest strengths of the US, one of the things that provides the greatest security to the United States and its allies is that extensive alliance network, not just NATO, but multiple other alliances, the non-NATO alliances of some 18 countries with the United States. And these types of alliances keep the Western world, and by proxy, the US, safe. In fact, there are competitors to the US that would be considered foes in a potential war, such as China, that benefit from such peaceful alliances. Their businesses, they're wanting to be in the sphere of business influence with the United States, is a direct product of the US-led order and these military alliances that have fostered such great peace globally. One example is the Five Eyes. It's an intelligence sharing network where the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand combine intelligence assets to monitor global affairs. Many of these provide huge intelligence victories for the United States and NATO. Not just in Europe, but across the globe. The United Kingdom has a very robust intelligence network globally because of their history. So does the US. When we combine forces, we understand the world better, and when we understand the world better, we are safer. And there's also the Five Eyes Plus, or the Nine Eyes, or the 14 Eyes, whatever you want to call it. Those are less formal, but still useful nonetheless. From an intelligence gathering perspective, the US being interconnected with Europe, the Middle East, Asia, allows us to see the world better, so we have a greater understanding and we are safer. My point here is US isolationists can't see past their nose when it comes to the benefits we receive, and it is so frustrating because we have volumes of history that time and time again show that alliances win the day and have benefited the US. The French Navy helping the US against the British is probably one of the greatest examples of the US receiving the benefits of an alliance. We won 2 world wars because of our alliances. Since World War II, these Western allies likely need the US more than the US needs them. I understand that. And I know that sounds conceited, and it kind of is. But when you look at it from a sports perspective, for instance, Patrick Mahomes isn't winning any games without the rest of the Chiefs. Maradona, Pele, George Best, none of them are scoring any goals without their teammates. The US is the most dominant global power in the world ever, but we still cannot go it alone. The more alliances there are, the more NATO members there are, the more peace there will be, because the only thing that will keep the insecurities and the beast-like nature of Russia's aggression at bay is a strong united front countering their aggression. The same goes for China. Although they're less inclined to violence than Russia, they're just happy to see what Russia does and then react in kind. Time is on the side of these authoritarian regimes. Power in the Soviet Union transferred between one authoritarian leader to another, and it was only stopped, not when they chose to stop, but when their authoritarian choices and pressure from the outside alliances decayed their system so much that it was unsustainable. We are seeing a similar type of decay in Russia, but they are more resilient because they learned from the Soviet Union. Vladimir Putin is more resilient, and he is also more ruthless. Since Putin came to power, more Europeans have died in war, more Russians have died in war than at any time since World War II. That is not something the US should be okay with. We should not be accepting that. I don't think many Europeans, let alone Americans, grasp what is happening right now has not happened since World War II. And the only thing containing this situation is the alliance we have formed, specifically NATO, but also you have Japan and others that are supporting as well. And if you are a Russian apologist that thinks alliances like NATO don't matter, that Russia should be able to go it alone, know this. Russia would be catapulting boulders at Ukraine as artillery if it wasn't for the massive support they've been receiving from North Korea and Iran. There is no reason that the United States should be providing less for the righteous fight in Ukraine than Iran and North Korea are providing the evil in Russia. None at all. At least 74% of Americans know that, but we are being held hostage for some damn reason by a far-right faction of the Republican Party, as well as a generation of people that just want to talk it out and get along. And I'm looking at Biden's staff here. That mentality is all good and well, but maybe it's time for us to put our greatest generation big boy pants on and start to crack some skulls here. And we don't even have to physically do it. We don't have to sacrifice our blood. The Ukrainians and all of their strength and resilience and how amazing they are, they're the ones on the front lines sacrificing that. We just merely have to give treasure at this point, and it is not even remotely close to a significant amount of treasure relative to our budget. This money that would go to Ukraine is an investment against a greater war, and I don't understand why the isolationists don't see that. It is either ignorance or disingenuous or flat out they just want Russia to win. But the fact of the matter is, when you want Russia to win, you're essentially the same type of people 70 years ago that wanted Hitler to win. You are part of the Lindbergh crowd, those that admired the Nazis or admired Putin for who they are. But that is not America. America makes alliances and forms alliances because people want to be around America, and America benefits from those alliances from a security standpoint and a business standpoint. And if you don't understand that, you not only have no business discussing geopolitics and geostrategy whatsoever, you probably should not be in some high-level position, such as a representative, a senator, or on the staff of the leader of the free world, frankly.